I paid $8,500 for a luxury family vacation, only to discover my daughter deliberately booked 0 rooms for me, leaving me alone in the lobby like an idiot until a stranger, the hotel manager, noticed my humiliation. My quiet dignity shattered into fury. I used a simple spreadsheet to document 7 years of abuse and cut off the $387,000 faucet of entitlement forever. Before continuing, write where you are from or what time it is. I paid $8,500 for this vacation, but as the receptionist confirmed my booking, I realized I had no room at all. The massive glass doors of the Azure Shores Resort slid shut behind me, trapping the Pacific heat outside and leaving me standing alone in the hushed, cool marble lobby. I was a fool who'd handed over his credit card for logistics, and now the specific harm was a public, embarrassing kind of loss. The receptionist, a young woman whose smile had already faded, tapped her screen one last time. "I'm sorry, sir. I'm only showing 2 reservations under Lauren Hayes, a family suite and a children's room. Are you perhaps listed under a different name?" I felt the marble floor tilt beneath my feet. "No, check the payment records. I paid for everything." She checked, her lower lip caught between her teeth in a gesture that said she knew a problem when she saw one. "The payment did come through, yes, but I'm only seeing these 2 rooms. Perhaps there was an error when the booking was made. You might want to contact..." Cut to dial. I stepped away from the desk and pulled out my phone. My hands felt clumsy. I dialed Lauren's number, the cheerful lilt of her voicemail answering after 4 rings. I hung up without speaking. The noise of the lobby, children bouncing, a couple laughing, suddenly became a physical weight pressing against my ribs. I typed a text instead. "I'm at the hotel. There's no room reserved for me. Call me." No response dots appeared. No indication she'd even seen it. I found a deep leather armchair near the floor-to-ceiling windows. The view of the Pacific was spectacular, all that blue stretching to the horizon. It felt wasted on me. I sat, my wheeled suitcase beside me like a lonely pet. Every group checking in knew where they belonged. I, the man who paid for it all, did not. This was the crushing realization. It wasn't a mistake on the website. Minutes crawled by, each one a tiny stab of truth. I scrolled through my email again. Payment receipts, yes. Family suite, children's room, resort fees. $8,500 gone. The actual booking details had all gone to Lauren's email. "Easier if I use one card for everything," she'd said. Why would I question my own daughter? That was the lie I'd believed for 7 years since Elaine died in August 2020. I was supporting my young family. I was a good father. The anxiety became a physical burn in my chest. I sat perfectly still, trying to project the image of a man waiting for a late appointment, not a man who was utterly abandoned. The hotel manager, David Chen, in a crisp navy suit, approached me. His name tag was a bright square of authority. He wore the professional concern of someone who had detected a structural failure in his system. "Mr. Hayes, I'm David Chen. Is everything all right?" I looked up at this stranger and felt the composure I'd spent 20 minutes building crack. "My daughter made the reservations. She forgot to book a room for me." The words sounded ridiculous, weak. David Chen's jaw tightened. He didn't believe it was forgetfulness. He knew better. He squared his shoulders, a decisive action. "Come with me, Mr. Hayes. You deserve better." Cut to elevator. I followed him, pulling the suitcase behind me. The anger he showed on my behalf was sharper than any emotion I'd managed to feel yet. The elevator dinged at the 4th floor. He led me to room 417, opening the door with a master key. The room was breathtaking. King bed, white linens, a cream-colored sofa, and a view that stretched the entire western wall. The Pacific spread out like a promise. "This is one of our best ocean view rooms," David said. He pressed the key card into my palm. "This is on the house. Families should treat you better than strangers do." He left before I could argue, before I could process the massive weight of his kindness. The door clicked shut. I stood alone in a luxury suite. I walked to the window, watching the waves roll in with their ancient rhythm. It hit me hard. I had spent years telling myself that Lauren was just stressed, just busy, that I was needed. But standing here in a room paid for by a stranger's pity, I finally understood the truth. I wasn't supporting her. I was being used. Hours crawled by. The sun began to sink, painting the sky in colors I couldn't appreciate. The silence in the room was crushing. I should have been downstairs enjoying the sunset with my family, the family I'd mortgaged my savings to keep afloat. The micro cost of my passivity was being paid now, in this silence, this spectacular isolation. Around 6 in the evening, the silence broke. Through the open balcony door, voices drifted up from the lobby 4 floors down. I heard the sound clearly, unmistakable even from that distance. It was Lauren's laugh. I took the elevator down and walked into the lobby. They were clustered near the reception desk, all 4 of them returning from the beach. My grandchildren, Emma and Caleb, held half-melted ice cream cones. Ryan, my son-in-law, stood slightly apart, beach bags hanging from his shoulders. They looked happy, like a postcard family, oblivious to the man who was paying for the picture. Lauren saw me first. Her face lit up with that bright, deceptive smile I used to love. "Dad, you made it." "I was wondering when you'd get here." She hugged me briefly, smelling of salt and sunscreen. It was all surface, professional greeting. Ryan didn't look up from his phone. Emma mumbled something at her phone screen. I kept my voice level, focusing on tactical clarity. "Lauren, why wasn't there a room reserved for me?" "Oh, Dad." She waved her hand, dismissing my question like a fly. "You're a grown man. I figured you'd handle your own room. We maxed out that card you gave us on our suite and the kids' room. Those ocean views aren't cheap." She actually laughed. I felt a sharp sensory jolt, like swallowing ice. "You used my card to book rooms for yourselves, but not for me. The suite was expensive. But anyway, you figured it out, right? You always do." She squeezed my arm with false affection. The power flip was complete. I was the problem for asking, not her for taking. Then she launched straight into the next demand. No pause, no recognition of my discomfort. "Hey, listen. Can you add another $2,000 to that card? I want to book some spa treatments." Ryan finally spoke, his gaze still locked on his screen. "These menu prices are crazy. You're paying for dinner, right, Victor?" Not Dad, just Victor. A resource, not a relation. Cut to dinner. I followed them into the restaurant because I had no other plan. They sat across from me. Lauren started describing their plans for tomorrow, addressing Ryan, speaking like I wasn't there. We should definitely do South Panto Beach, then that coastal hike we read about. The word we repeated, but it never included me. "I thought we could visit the art galleries in the village tomorrow," I tried, wedging myself into the conversation. Lauren didn't even look up. "Oh, we've got our day all planned out. You can do that yourself, can't you? You like that kind of thing anyway." My interests were a quirk she tolerated. Ryan set his phone down, not to engage me, but to calculate the damage. "Prime rib is $65. Lobster is $78. He made sure I saw the prices. He chose the prime rib. I chose the least expensive item I could find, chicken. While we waited, Lauren talked about pools, hot tubs, beach cabanas, everything she wanted me to fund. The micro hook appeared. "The spa has this couple's massage," she said, squeezing Ryan's hand. "It's $400, but we deserve it." I sat, watching the performance, and my architect's mind started building a blueprint of betrayal. I cataloged the history. The wedding, $45,000. The first rental deposit, $15,000. Ryan's car, $28,000, a loan never repaid. The private school tuition, $24,000 annually for 4 years. The emergency credit card, averaging $1,500 to $3,000 a month for 3 years. The emergencies never ended. When was the last time she had called just to ask how I was? The dinner check arrived, $320. Lauren slid it across the table without looking at it, the gesture so practiced it was automatic. This was my role. The ATM with a pulse. I put my card down. "See you tomorrow, Dad. Thanks for dinner," Lauren called over her shoulder as they headed for the elevators. Ryan said nothing at all. I signed the receipt, adding a generous tip for the kind server. Then I walked back to the room given to me by a stranger's pity. I lay on the bed, staring at the ceiling. Down the hall, I heard their laughter, their family joy. They were separated by maybe 50 feet of hallway, but the distance felt infinite. The truth crystallized in the darkness, a single decisive action in my mind. They hadn't forgotten the room. They never intended to include me. They wanted the money, not the man. I wasn't supporting her. I was subsidizing her. I never fell asleep that night. I watched the ocean turn from black to gray to blue. My mind felt sharper than it had in years. I had repeated the lie so often. She's busy. Young families struggle. They had become my truth. But they weren't the truth. The lobby clock ticked on, slow and loud in my memory. By dawn, I knew exactly what needed to be done. I laced up my walking shoes and took the stairs. The air off the Pacific was cool and salty. I needed distance from the hotel where my family slept in rooms I'd paid for. I walked along the beach, letting my architect's mind work. Assess the situation, identify the problem, plan the solution. I spotted the Morning Light Cafe, a small place tucked between surf shops. Warm light spilled out, and the smell of coffee pulled me inside. I ordered coffee and chose a seat by the window. This was my micro clock. I had until they woke up to make a move. That's when I saw her. Clara Miller. Silver hair, elegant even in linen, sketching in a large pad. "Lovely light at this hour," she said, looking up and smiling. "Architect, retired," I replied. "Used to notice things like light and shadow. Forgot to for a while." Easy to forget when you're carrying heavy things. It was a vulnerability ping, a brief confession to a stranger. She extended her hand. We talked easily, naturally. Then I told her the essence of the problem. Family vacation, except I'm not really part of the family, apparently. Clara didn't offer platitudes. She asked a simple question that hit like a physical blow. Forgot to include you or chose not to remember? Chose not to remember, I admitted quietly. Sometimes the best way to show people their mistake is to let them experience the consequences of their own choices. She called it consequences, not revenge. We exchanged numbers. Walking back to the resort, I felt a sharp injection of possibility. Cut to confrontation. The lobby was humming when I returned. Lauren and Ryan stood near the concierge, ready for the day's next expense. "Oh good, Dad, perfect timing," Lauren's voice chirped. "We're heading to that coastal cave tour everyone raves about. It's $450 per person, so with the 5 of us, that's $2,250 total. Can you put it on the—" No. The single word was sharp, clean, like a snap of structural steel. Lauren blinked. The professional concern on her face vanished. "What?" "No, I'm not paying for your excursion." Silence spread outward, freezing Ryan, the children, and the concierges. The hope threat swing hit. I was in control. "Dad, come on. We're on vacation," Lauren pleaded, her laugh forced. "You're on vacation. I'm here. There's a difference." I kept my voice level. "Enjoy your day." Cut to room. The elevator doors closed on their confused, angry faces. The adrenaline rush felt dangerously close to exhilaration. 7 years of saying yes, and the first no was like jumping off a cliff. I opened my phone to the banking app. I found the insidious credit card I'd given Lauren 3 years ago. The $2,500 to $3,000 monthly emergency lifeline. My finger hovered over the button. Report card lost, Tashias, stolen. I remembered Clara's words, consequences of their own choices. I remembered sitting in the lobby with my forgotten suitcase. I clicked the button, card blocked. New card will arrive in 7 to 10 business days. Cut to office. I didn't wait for the inevitable fallout. By early afternoon, I checked out, drove the 30 minutes south, and walked into my Spanish-style house in La Palma. I went straight to the office. I pulled 7 years of financial documents, bank statements, canceled checks, credit card bills. Measure twice, cut once, I told myself. I created an Excel spreadsheet and began entering data chronologically. The pattern emerged immediately. Every request that started small escalated yearly. Every loan was temporary, none repaid. The wedding, $45,000. Rental deposit, $15,000. Ryan's car, $28,000. Tuition, $24,000 annually. The emergency card, roughly $90,000. I entered the last transaction, this vacation, $8,500, and clicked the sum formula. The number appeared. I stared at it, thinking I'd made an error. The number didn't change. $387,000. In 7 years, my daughter had taken $387,000 from me. My retirement was $850,000. At this rate, she would drain my liquid savings. This wasn't family support. This was financial abuse. The spreadsheet, stark black and white, became my new foundation. The phone started ringing around 4 in the afternoon. It was Lauren. I let it go to voicemail, again and again. The phone rang, and it wouldn't stop. The voicemails piled up, a terrifying auditory artifact of their entitlement. I listened to the sequence. Message 1. Dad, the card isn't working. I'm standing in the middle of the Metro Mall with a shopping cart. Call me back immediately. Anger cut her voice. Message 2. This is childish and cruel. Do you know how embarrassing it was when my card declined? Message 3. Threatening. Fine. You want to play this game? We can play, but don't expect us to come running when you need help in your old age. Ryan left a message, his voice dripping with condescension. Victor, this is ridiculous. You're acting like a petulant child. Fix the card situation and let's move forward like adults. I listened to each message twice, feeling the familiar pull of guilt. But the spreadsheet was still open. $387,000. I typed out a single text message. We'll talk when I'm ready, not before. I muted the conversation. I had made my first definitive move. Cut to law office. The next day, I called an appraiser and researched estate planning attorneys. I needed someone firm, not sentimental. I chose Vivian Chavez, professional, no nonsense, protects clients. Her motto, I help clients protect their assets and make clear-headed decisions about their legacy. I called her office and booked a consultation for August 18th. What type of legal matter? The secretary asked. Estate planning. I need to change my will. And has there been a significant life change prompting this review? I looked at the number on the screen. $387,000. Yes, you could say that. That evening, I got a text from Clara. Hope your day improved. Gallery open until 8 if you'd like to visit. The invitation was pure, without demands. Cut to gallery. I drove to Carlsbad. The Shoreline Gallery was intimate, well curated. Clara showed me around, her enthusiasm genuine. In her small office, the conversation flowed. Eventually, I told her about the betrayal and the legal steps. I made a spreadsheet, I said. 7 years, $387,000. She didn't pity me. She simply nodded. You documented everything. I explained the attorney appointment. She reached across the table, not in pity, but recognition. She told me her own story. Her brother filed a claim against the gallery after her husband died. He thought blood meant automatic entitlement. Do you regret fighting? Not once. Sometimes the people who should protect you are the ones you need protection from. We made plans for dinner. Driving home, watching the sunset, I realized she had confirmed my need to protect my assets. The attorney appointment was now a necessity, not a choice. Cut to dinner. 2 days later, Clara and I met for dinner. I told her the complete, precise story. The wedding, the car, the tuition, the emergency card. $387,000, I repeated, giving the number its full, hard weight. She touched my hand. You documented everything. What will you do with that information? Change my will tomorrow. She didn't try to stop me or ask for details. She simply said, not pity, recognition. Cut to ambush. The next afternoon, I was reviewing documents for Vivian Chavez when the doorbell rang. Unexpected. Through the window, I saw them, Lauren, Ryan, and both children. Emma and Caleb held handmade cards covered in glitter. This was a new escalation, the children weaponized as emotional leverage. I hesitated, but the kids were innocent. I opened the door. Dad, we need to talk. Can we come in? Lauren's voice was perfectly composed, hurt, reasonable. She'd rehearsed this. They filed into my living room. Lauren launched the attack. Dad, I think there's been a misunderstanding. We're family. We should be able to work this out without whatever this is you're doing." She acknowledged the hotel room was a genuine mistake. She confessed they might be too dependent. But no apology for the $387,000. It was all about smoothing things over, restoring the flow of money. Then she played her trump card. "Dad, Mom would have wanted you to take care of us. She'd be heartbroken seeing this division." The room froze. Her use of Elaine's memory as a manipulation tool snapped the last structural beam of my composure. "Don't," I ordered. My voice was sharp, a decisive action. "Don't you dare use your mother's memory to justify your greed." My voice shook with controlled fury. "Your mother would be ashamed. She taught you that love isn't transactional." "Dad, I don't know what you—" $387,000, I cut her off, throwing the number like a hard, concrete fact. "That's what you've taken from me in 7 years. I documented it all." The color drained from Lauren's face, but she recovered quickly, shifting tactics. "Those were gifts. You gave them willingly." "You took them out of entitlement." I met Ryan's direct gaze. "I'm obligated to nothing. You've just proven I'm making the right choice." Lauren tried to cry. The tears wouldn't come. Her body refused to produce the emotion. The manipulation technique was failing in real time. "How can you do this? You're really choosing some stranger over your own family?" "I'm choosing myself. That's what you never understood. I'm a person, not a checkbook." Ryan's mask slipped completely, revealing cold aggression. "Fine. You'll regret this. Who's going to take care of you when you're old and sick? We sure as hell won't." The threat didn't weaken me. It validated everything. "I'll hire professional care if needed," I said, "or rely on friends who value me as a person, not a bank account." They gathered the children and left. The door closed. I stood in the quiet house, shaking, but absolutely certain. Cut to law office. The next morning, I drove into Coastal City for the consultation with Vivian Chavez. Her office was on the 15th floor overlooking the bay. She got straight to it. "How much financial support have you provided?" $387,000 over 7 years. None of it repaid." I slid the spreadsheet across her desk. Vivian studied the documentation. "Mr. Hayes, your daughter has zero legal claim to your assets during your life or after your death." I felt relief flooding through me. But she immediately raised the threat. A potential will contest. Lauren would claim undue influence or diminished capacity. "We will document your complete mental competency," Vivian stated. "We discussed the strategy. A revocable living trust, new will, durable power of attorney. The trust would be harder to contest. Cost for the complete package is $4,500. Documents will be ready in 1 week. Let's do everything." I laid out the distribution. 70% to a charitable foundation in Elaine's name, 20% to an educational trust for my grandchildren, 10% for smaller items. "And your daughter?" "Nothing directly. She's had enough." Vivian confirmed the risk was low, a 5% chance of success, but it would cost Lauren $50,000 to $100,000 in legal fees to try. The cost alone would deter her. We began the paperwork. The grandchild's fund was named the Hayes Family Education Fund. The irony was sharp. Money she couldn't touch. 2 hours later, Vivian walked me to the elevator. "You're doing the right thing. Your daughter is already taking advantage. At least now you're protecting what you've earned." I walked out into the sunshine, feeling something like freedom. My phone buzzed at a red light. A text from Clara. "How did it go?" "Better than expected." "Meet tonight. Beach walk at sunset." I drove home. I had 1 day of peace. The documents were being finalized in the lawyer's vault. Then I got a text from an old colleague. "Hey, saw something on Facebook that might be about you. Everything okay?" I logged into my dormant account and searched Ryan's name. His profile was public. The post had been up for 2 hours. Sometimes you realize family members aren't who you thought when an elderly parent suddenly turns against their own children and grandchildren because of financial disagreements. Ryan had positioned himself as a victim, me as the cruel miser. Public humiliation had begun. I stared at Ryan's public Facebook post, feeling my hand shake with a cold, visceral anger. The words were carefully chosen. Elderly parent suddenly turns against their own children and grandchildren because of financial disagreements. He framed me as the cruel miser, punishing them for not being wealthy enough to refuse help I offered freely. This was the climb to the public rung of the escalation ladder. The comment section was already active. Families should support each other. How sad. My instinct screamed to respond, to post my spreadsheet showing the $387,000 in exploitation. I wanted vindication. Before I could act, the phone rang. It was Clara. "I saw it," she said without preamble. "Someone sent it to me. Don't respond." He's lying to everyone. People will think people who know you won't believe it. People who don't know you don't matter. Her voice was firm, kind, a solid voice that understood the structural integrity of reputation. Don't play on their field, Victor. This is what abusers do when they're losing control. They try to destroy your reputation because they can't control you anymore. I gripped the phone. Restraint went against every impulse, but I knew she was right. Responding would turn it into a debate. Silence made it irrelevant. Over the next few hours, true friends called, checking if I was okay. I gave the same simple response. Family disagreement. I'm fine. Thank you for caring. No elaboration, no justification. Short answers denied oxygen to the gossip fire. Later that evening, Clara and I met for a walk through La Palma Cove. She told me about her own brother's tactics during their legal battle. I responded once, biggest mistake, gave him ammunition for months. "So, what's the architecture here?" I asked, seeking a concrete plan. "You do exactly what you've been doing. You protect yourself legally. You live your life." We walked in comfortable silence. My phone stayed quiet. They were regrouping. Cut to attorney's office. The signing ceremony was scheduled for 10 a.m. the next morning. I dressed carefully. What I was about to do deserved formality. Vivian Chavez had called it a ceremony deliberately. Some moments need to be marked. The conference room overlooked Coastal City Bay. The long table held the documents arranged with precision. New will, revocable living trust, durable power of attorney, advanced healthcare directive. Everything that would protect my future. Vivian reviewed each page. Present were the notary public and 2 witnesses from Vivian's office, standard neutral parties. "Mr. Hayes, before we proceed, I need verbal confirmation." Vivian's voice was clear. "Are you executing these documents of your own free will without coercion?" "Completely voluntary. This is entirely my decision." The pen felt weighted with significance. I initialed each page, signing the signature pages. Each stroke of ink was another step toward protection. The witnesses signed. The notary pressed her official seal onto each document. The sound was solid, final, irreversibly real. Vivian collected the documents. "These are now legally binding." I handed her a check for $4,500. Transaction complete. She showed me one final document, a letter of intent. Not legally binding, but explanatory. She read portions aloud. "Over 7 years, I provided $387,000 in financial support. The incident at Azure Shores Resort made clear I'm valued as a financial resource rather than as a father. I have provided for my grandchildren's education through an irrevocable trust. This decision is final and made with full mental capacity." "Should I send this to Lauren now?" I asked. My advice? Wait, Vivian said. If she contests the will, this becomes powerful evidence of your clear thinking. The letter went into the file, ready if needed, but not deployed yet. I drove home to La Palma, feeling something I hadn't felt in years. Freedom. My mind was processing everything. I had one day of peace. The legal wheels turned quietly. Clara and I texted. I actually believed the hard part was over. Then, the morning of August 19th, my phone erupted. Lauren had found out. Lauren's calls flashed across the screen again and again. I maintained the boundary, letting the first few go to voicemail. Curiosity eventually won. I listened to the sequence. Dad, someone saw your car at Vivian Chavez's office downtown. That's an estate planning attorney. What's going on? Call me back. The next message, sharper. Call me right now. We need to talk about this immediately. Then, I can't believe you'd go behind my back like this after everything we've been through together. Her final message was cold and controlled. Fine. If this is how you want to play it, we can play. Her panic was palpable. She knew exactly what an estate planning attorney meant. Ryan left one message, condescending. Victor, this is incredibly disrespectful. You owe us a conversation. I didn't call back. I let them sit with their uncertainty. I sent a single text. My legal affairs are my business. Nothing has changed in how I feel about my grandchildren. Cut to front porch. The doorbell rang 2 days later, August 20th. I saw them through the window, arranged on the porch like a rehearsed portrait. Lauren, Ryan, and both children. Emma and Caleb held handmade cards covered in crayon and glitter. This was scripted. They were being used as emotional weapons. My heart broke, not from the manipulation, but for the children being weaponized by the adults who should protect them. I knelt to their eye level. Thank you for these beautiful cards. I love you both very much. Then, to Lauren and Ryan, the children can come in. You two wait here. Lauren started to protest, but my look stopped her. I closed the door on their parents and led the kids to the kitchen. I gave them cookies and juice, asking normal grandfather questions. They relaxed, becoming real children instead of props. Mom said you were sad and needed cheering up, Caleb mentioned between bites. She said making cards would make you feel better, Emma added. My heart ached for their innocence. After 30 minutes, I walked them back to the front door. I have always loved you, I said, making sure the children heard. And I will always love my grandchildren. But money isn't love, and I won't let those things be confused anymore. Lauren's face cycled through shock, anger, and calculation. Ryan took the children's hands. Lauren lingered at the doorway. You're really doing this? I really am. I closed the door. Final, decisive. The sound of the latch clicking felt like punctuation. Cut to office. I laid out the folder for the final upcoming talk. Bank statements, the will and trust copies, and the letter of intent. Clean space, clear mind. Clara called in the afternoon. Are you sure about this? I'm sure they deserve to hear it directly. See the documents. No surprises later when I'm gone. The phone buzzed. A text from Lauren. We need to talk. Really talk. I showed Clara the message. I typed not ready yet. When you are, I'll listen. That's fair, Clara said. Today I choose myself. Choose us. Choose living. I had scheduled the final meeting. Tomorrow, 2 my house, just you and Ryan. The doorbell rang at 2 o'clock exactly, August 25th. Lauren and Ryan arrived, dressed nicely, performing reconciliation. Lauren's expression was relieved, smug, thinking she'd won. Ryan was quiet, assessing, his posture still aggressive. Please sit down. I opened the door without warmth or hostility. Lauren started immediately. Dad, I'm so glad you called. We've all said things we didn't mean, and I think if we just... I raised my hand. Let me speak first. I took the folder from the coffee table and slid copies across to each of them. These are copies. You should read them. Lauren picked up the papers. Last will and testament of Victor Eduardo Hayes. She scanned quickly, looking for her name. Her face changed. Confusion, then disbelief, then shock. The color drained away. Ryan leaned over, reading over her shoulder. His jaw tightened. The only sound was the rustling of pages. Charitable foundation 70%. Educational trust for grandchildren 20%. Personal items and remaining 10%. Lauren Hayes and Ryan Hayes. Nothing. Lauren's voice cracked. You can't do this, not a question, a statement of denial. I already have, I said calmly. These were signed on the 22nd, witnessed, notarized, filed with my attorney. Ryan stood abruptly. We'll contest this. You're clearly under someone's influence, that woman, Clara, she's manipulated you. I underwent full medical evaluation, cognitive assessment, capacity testing. I'm completely sound. My attorney anticipated this accusation. Lauren's voice rose. Dad, this is insane. We're your family. Then act like it. I documented everything, I continued, measured and calm. 7 years, $324,000. The spreadsheet is in the folder if you'd like to see it. You had everything, I said. My love, my support, financial help beyond reason. But it wasn't enough. You wanted more without giving anything back, not even respect. The hotel was symbolic, I stated. You literally left me without a place in your lives while taking my money to pay for your rooms. Lauren squeezed her eyes shut, attempting tears. Her face contorted, but no actual tears came. The manipulation was failing. Ryan's voice turned aggressive. You'll regret this. Who's going to take care of you when you're old and sick? We sure as hell won't. I'll hire professional care if needed, I said, or rely on friends who value me as a person, not a bank account. Friends? You mean her? Some woman you barely know? Lauren sneered. I've known Clara 6 weeks, I confirmed. In that time, she's shown me more genuine care than you have in 7 years. Ryan fumed. After everything we've done. What have you done? I asked, cutting deep. Name one thing you've given me that wasn't a demand for more. Silence. They couldn't answer. You've taken money, time, energy. You used my grief over your mother to manipulate me. You weaponized your own children. Ryan posted lies on social media. And Lauren, you invoked your mother's memory to justify greed. Each accusation was factual, not emotional. Lauren stood. We're leaving. They moved toward the door. Wait, I spoke. Hope flickered in Lauren's eyes. The financial decision is final, non-negotiable. I paused. But if someday you want to build a relationship based on respect instead of money, I'm open to that conversation. The grandchildren will have their education funded. You can't touch it, but they'll be provided for. Lauren's face hardened. So we're supposed to be grateful you're providing for your own grandchildren. You're supposed to understand that love isn't currency. Ryan pulled the door open. We're done here. At the doorway, Lauren turned back. You'll hear from our attorney. That's your choice. It will cost you $50,000 to $100,000 and you'll lose. But if you want to spend money proving I'm right about your priorities, go ahead. The door closed, firmly shut. I stood in the quiet house. My hand shook as I reached for my phone, typing a message to Clara. I put the first number on my lawyer's call list, $50,000. I typed 2 words to Clara. It's done. She replied immediately, come for breakfast tomorrow. The next morning, August 26th, I woke to sunlight and the absence of the weight I'd carried for years. The confrontation was behind me. Time to live. My phone showed no messages from Lauren. I drove to Carlsbad with the windows down, taking the Coast Highway. The same route I'd driven weeks ago in despair, but everything felt different. Clara was outside the Shoreline Gallery arranging a sandwich board. She grinned when she saw me. Perfect timing. I need someone who understands spatial relationships. We worked together. I advised on piece placement using an architect's eye. This painting needs more space around it. My expertise valued, her vision respected. We hung paintings, adjusted lighting, easy collaboration, natural rhythm. Over iced tea on the back patio, Clara said, I've been thinking about expanding, opening a second gallery in Coastal City. That's ambitious. I'd need help with the space design, someone who understands flow and light. She looked at me directly. Interested? I smiled. I thought I was retired. Maybe there's work worth coming back for. Not a job offer, a partnership invitation. Cut to beach. That afternoon, we walked barefoot along the shore where we'd first met. 6 weeks ago, you were sitting in that cafe looking lost, Clara said. I was lost. Took a stranger's kindness to show me that. I wasn't kind. I just saw someone worth knowing. We sat on the beach wall, watching surfers and families. My phone buzzed. Text message from Lauren. Dad, we need to talk. Really talk. What will you do? Clara asked. I typed, not ready yet. When you are, I'll listen. I didn't block her. I left the door open, but on my terms. That's fair, Clara said. Today, I choose myself, choose us, choose living. The sun lowered toward the Pacific. The sky transformed. I spent 7 years thinking revenge meant making them hurt, I said. And now, revenge was taking my life back. not making them suffer, making myself free. We watched the sunset in silence. "What do you want, Victor?" Clara asked quietly. "For the future. This. You. Work that matters, relationships that respect. Time to build something new instead of funding someone else's life." "That sounds like a plan." "There's more," I said, taking her hand. "I want you in that plan. Officially, permanently." "Spring wedding?" Clara asked. "You're getting ahead of the blueprint. Someone has to. You architects are methodical." "Easy, genuine, no wait." Epilogue. Months later, the pieces had fallen into place. Lauren and Ryan never filed the contest, exactly as Vivian predicted. The cost was too high. Their pride wasn't enough fuel for $75,000 in legal fees. They learned to live within their means. Lauren texts occasionally, photos of the grandchildren, brief updates. I respond warmly. No money is requested, none is offered. The relationship exists, damaged but not destroyed on new terms. The door remains open for reconciliation if she's ready to respect boundaries. Clara and I set a wedding date for spring 2029. My current project is designing her second gallery in coastal city's Little Italy. The work brings joy, creating space for art and community. The Hayes Family Education Fund grows untouched. The Elaine Hayes Educational Foundation is established. First scholarships awarded this fall. My legacy isn't money to an ungrateful daughter, but opportunities for deserving students. I lost $387,000 in 7 years, but I gained myself. I gained Clara. I gained a future worth living. Standing in the gallery space we're designing together, sunlight streaming through windows we positioned just right, Clara's hand in mine, I understand something fundamental. The best revenge is living well, and I'm living very well indeed. If this story resonated with you, leave a like and consider subscribing. You can also drop any comment below, even just one word. Maybe tell me where you're watching from, or what time it is right now. Sometimes one word is enough to say you were here.